Yesterday, during the debate of President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address, Minerals and Energy Minister Gwede Mantashe warned the country against taking companies wanting to invest in the upstream oil industry to court. Mantashe says such a move would kill investments. Let's take a listen back.
The attempt to take upstream petroleum projects to court all the time is driven by the theme, kill investment through the court system. No investor will want to invest in South Africa if it has to go to 3, 4, 5 years of the legal system. We are killing the investment, but we say we want investment. It's a contradiction in terms. So we must deal with that issue. We chased Shell here, and they went to Namibia and discovered oil. We chased ENI in KZN. They went to Cote d'Ivoire and discovered huge oil deposits. And that's what I describe as an island of angels that will starve to death.
An island of angels that will starve to death. Liz Mcdaid, a strategic lead at Green Connection, she's been listening in. Is that an accurate description of what we have been seeing?
Well, I think we would dispute several things, but I maybe one starts at the back and works forward. Is right now we have thousands of fishers from coastal communities around South Africa who put food on the table through their activities and harvesting of our marine resources. The oil and gas industry has a reputation globally that we believe would result in harm to the sea life and therefore would undermine the livelihood of those fishers. So I think that the starving would happen if the oil and gas industry was allowed to proceed. But I think we need to come back to maybe what is a more important issue is the rule of law and the importance of the protection of our constitutional rights. So we have a right to an environment that is not harmful to our health, and the laws that we have in the country are to uphold those rights. So that means that economic development and investment should happen within the laws of the country. And the reason that communities have had to keep going back to the courts to oppose such developments is because we believe they are not abiding by the laws, which is what the courts are there to adjudicate on. So, you know, if I was a minister, I would be calling for investment that is within our constitutional rights, that will uphold our rights and be good for people and for the ecosystem on which we all depend. So I find it very bizarre that that we can now be setting up that foreign investors are somehow more important than local communities.
How do we find each other, though? So you speak of abiding by the law. Who is the gatekeeper that is supposed to make sure that, you know, these investors abide by the law? Also, government sets the rules or the conditions in which business can come and play. What is it that we are seeing with our government, at least, where that is concerned?
Well, I think that's the issue. Yes, government sets the rules. We have set the rules. But what we are seeing is that these investments are coming. One of the rules is that you need to consult with people and actually hear the local knowledge and look at the environmental impacts and mitigate them. And if you can't mitigate them, then anyone would say you probably can't go ahead, because obviously then they're going to be far more damaging to the economy and the ecology than we would want, that our rules allow. But what we are seeing is that the rules are not being followed. And in both the court cases, well, in fact, the minister referred to a third case, the ENI case. But in both the recent seismic survey cases, the applicants are arguing that they have not been consulted. So a simple remedy is actually just do the consultation, follow the process properly, and if it all goes your way, then that's fantastic. But, shortcuts, attempts to get around the law, I really think that we can't tolerate that as the people of South Africa.
He also addressed the issue of South Africa using coal and that we cannot just drop coal in favor of renewable energy options. Your take on that?
So, I mean, very literally, I don't think anyone's suggesting we drop coal tomorrow. That is what the just transition is about. And it's also very clear that we have a number of people whose jobs and livelihoods depend on coal, and therefore the transition is to ensure that those people are not left behind, and they are part of the just transition. So I don't think there's anyone who's saying drop coal tomorrow, but it is about a very firm move away from coal and towards, renewables and those resources that are going to be good for our climate and good for us from a sustainability point of view.
He mentions that these investors are running away to countries like Namibia, Cote d'Ivoire, for instance, on the continent. Does this suggest that it's free for all in these countries?
I can't comment on what it's like in other countries, but my experience with other activists on the continent is that they do find the same problems that we face, sometimes to worse degrees, in terms of maybe the lure of profit and money means that for some of those countries the rules become a bit slack, or people look the other way.
So according to you, it's really that simple. Follow the rules and we won't have a problem.
Yeah, that's why we have the rules. That's why we have a constitutional democracy. We don't have a authoritarian a rule where anybody can wake up on any day and decide this is how the rules are going to play for us. No, we have a constitutional democracy, and the courts are there to uphold that.
Liz Mcdaid, the strategic lead at Green Connection. Thank you very much for joining us.